Give it up for Bernadette Durbin.
I am kind of tempted to be a little bit clumsy. So, my name is Bernadette. I know that you're not supposed to ask the lady if she's pregnant unless she's actually crowning. I'm not going to subject you to that. I'm pregnant. I'm due on Labor Day. And the first question that everybody asks when you're pregnant is it a boy or a girl? Now, at this point, you should know if you're going to know, but they'll ask you that if you're like 6 weeks pregnant. You're like, it's not a boy or a girl, it's a blob. Come on, think about it for a second. So the actual ultrasound, when you find out what you've got, is halfway through the pregnancy. So you get a lot of those questions way before you get it. So before we went to our ultrasound, I did the Facebook thing. I said to people, so, do you think it's a boy, a girl, or a ninja? Because some kids, they just hide things away. So when we went to the ultrasound, the tech took me back first because they got a whole bunch of measurements that they have to do. And after a little bit, she said, so did you want to know if it was a boy or a girl? I said, oh, yeah, I did want to know if it was a boy or a girl. She's like, okay, well, we'll wait till your husband's home. And then her husband comes back here, and then she said, wow, those feet are huge. So I'm like, okay, so it's not a ninja, it's a clown. Which is kind of appropriate given the kind of circus that, birth normally is. You see, once you are pregnant, you belong to the medical establishment. Currently, I am doing 3 appointments a week. They're doing all these things. And one of the last ones that they do before you have the baby is they measure your belly. And they say, your kid is going to be about this much. So with my first, you have to understand, I have a boy and a girl. And no matter what you do, what you say with the answer, is it a boy or a girl? The answer is wrong. If you say, we're having a boy, they'll say, oh, didn't you want a girl? If you say, hey, we're having a girl, oh, didn't your husband want a boy? Oh. And it's like, okay, so, that's bad. Once you start having kids, it gets worse. Because heaven forbid you actually have 2 of the same gender. And somebody actually said to me, oh, you have a boy and a girl. That's perfect. You can stop now. Oh, God. And I was thinking the whole time I'm looking at her, you know what? I want to have more kids just to spite you. It's not a boy baby or a girl baby. This baby's made of spite. So, when they do that final thing where they measure and they tell you how big the kid is, with my first kid, it was my son, the OB measures my belly, and she says, okay, he's going to be about 7.5 pounds. And I'm thinking, that can't be right. My mom always said, with all those kids, that the OBs underestimated how much they were going to weigh. So, okay, 8 pounds, 8.5 pounds, that's a pretty big baby. So there was the whole saga of that first childbirth, which I'm not going to subject you to, except I'm going to say, they had valet parking at the hospital. And this was so awesome. Can you imagine, like, sir, you appear to be bleeding out. May I take your keys? Anyway, so we had the whole circus, and when I say circus, I mean there was like 5 or 6 or 7 medical professionals in there when my kid was born. And they pull him out, and I get my first view of my son, and what I said was, oh. And this was short for, oh my God, he's huge. And we had, my husband helped measure him out and everything, and they put my son on a scale. And I didn't have my glasses on, so I'm squinting looking. Honey, does that say what I think it says? He's like, probably. Like, could you tell me what that says? He said, 9 pounds, 14.6 ounces. And so, postpartum checkup, I go back to my OB and I say, 7.5 pounds? 9 pounds, 14.6 ounces. What happened? And she looks at me and in all seriousness says, some women hide them.